Thank you, and thank you for being here, Mr. Secretary. On February 3rd, you issued Secretarial Order 3418, consistent with President Trump's Unleashing American Energy Executive Order. You were directing the department to review and revise both the Buffalo and the Rock Springs resource management plans issued under the Biden administration. Just last week, cooperating agencies were notified by the BLM of an opportunity to discuss amendments to the Rock Springs RMP, and we welcome that development. Now, yesterday, you had an opportunity to provide some information to Senator Barrasso in his questioning related to the Rock Springs RMP, so I'd like to focus on the Buffalo RMP. Could you please give us a brief update in terms of the process related to what is happening with the Buffalo RMP?
Yeah, I'd be happy to give you a top line and happy to have my team give you more detail. But as you've seen in your home state, under the Biden administration, there was a number of these resource management plans that basically were focused on, I felt, complete violation of the multiple use doctrine, in so much as that in some cases they actually created out of whole cloth things that didn't even exist in law, nothing that Congress had created. But these areas of critical impact, it sounds very dramatic, but basically it was preventing almost any aspect of land use and had a huge encroachment on farming, ranching, or any other kind of surface activity. And of course, a lot of this is built around the sage grouse, and the sage grouse isn't even it's not on the endangered or the threatened list. And so the idea that somehow we're going to take lands and create entire management plans which wipe out the local economies seems in direct opposition to both the will of the people, the states and the tribes that we work with, and also the law. So we're just trying to get back and follow the law and do consultation with the people that are impacted.
And we appreciate the return to the rule of law and actually applying and enforcing FLPMA as it was written, rather than as some would like to have had it be written. And getting to the Endangered Species Act, sometimes those of us on this side of the dais are falsely accused of trying to undermine the Endangered Species Act, but I don't think that there's any better way to undermine the ESA than keeping a species listed well past the point that it has been fully recovered, which describes the greater Yellowstone ecosystem, grizzly bear to a T, a species that has been fully recovered for over 2 decades, over 20 years. Everyone agrees we have far exceeded the recovery goals for the GYE grizzly bear. With that in mind, would you commit to working with myself and my colleagues from Montana and Idaho to fix the disastrous grizzly bear rule that you inherited from your predecessor and work with us to delist the greater Yellowstone ecosystem grizzly bear?
Yes, we'd be happy to do that.
Wonderful. Thank you.
The grizzlies have gotten population so big, and they've moved from the Yellowstone into the bighorns, and then they're moving the black bears out of the bighorns. And for the first time in a long time, we had bears in western North Dakota last year, and which we don't have bears there. So they were bears there looking for love in all the wrong places because there was only a few of them. But the grizzlies are definitely expanding their territory, and that's affecting other populations.
Yes, they are, and it's definitely affecting our other wildlife. It's putting at risk our farmers and ranchers. So this is something that needs to be done. Your predecessors have recognized that the grizzly bear is recovered. We need to remove them from the list. President Trump has repeatedly stated that he intends to stop the construction of new onshore and offshore wind turbines. In southeastern Wyoming, however, there are 3,000 new turbines covering nearly 3,000 miles under review for approval. The BLM has been relying on brief environmental assessments, or EAs, rather than a cumulative environmental impact statement for approval of these large projects. Does the BLM's rush to develop wind in Wyoming comply with current federal policy, and would a moratorium on these projects be appropriate until adequate environmental oversight can be done to be more in line with the president's wishes?
The president has asked us to review all offshore wind projects and how they were permitted in the time frame, and there certainly is no appetite in this administration for adding more intermittent, unreliable to the grid. I mean, it's a grid problem. It's not that we're it's just, any form of intermittent is a problem. So we'll be happy to work with you. And yes, we're taking a look at all that because that grid imbalance creates a real risk for the country.
Well, and very quickly, one last issue. We now know that wind turbines account for 44% of eagle deaths in Wyoming, surpassing vehicle shootings and electrocutions combined. This shows you the failure of mitigation of the thousands of wind turbines that have already been constructed. Would you work with me to take steps to ensure meaningful eagle protection measures?
Yes, and we need more technology around the bird strike issue on wind projects in North Dakota and the Central Flyway is, I think, greatly underestimated. There's technology that can help us understand exactly how many birds we're killing in those flyways also.
Wonderful, thank you, and I yield back.